A hotel manager in Illinois uploaded this footage. People in the hotel complained about hearing noises from different parts of the hotel. A named John is sent to check out one of the unoccupied rooms from which screams are heard.
John, do you copy? It's room 209. Amy says nobody's checked into that room, and there's reports of screaming coming from that room. Amy, he's on his way down there right now.
John goes towards the door and confirms that he hears the screams. The manager over the phone also confirms it and asks John to wait for the police. John, however, opens the door and goes in. Just then, a white ghost-like apparition is seen exiting the room and the lights start flickering. John comes out shortly after and reports that the furniture in the room is overturned, the carpet is ripped, and the shower is on, but there's no one in sight. This video has raised lots of questions since it surfaced on the internet. The child in the video is sitting in front of a wall, playing with a small ball, when suddenly, the black scooter on the floor rises up and moves towards the kid, who promptly gets up and flees. It's as if someone deliberately picked it and pushed it, but the problem is that there's no one else there.
I can see.
This office is clearly haunted. On December 13, 2014, CCTV captured this eerie footage. If anyone had been in the office, they would have been scared. The office looks normal at first. Then the TV and computer on the desk started flickering on and off. While the TV is behaving as it's been possessed, the chair suddenly starts moving back and forth, and as if grabbed by an invisible hand, the chair rises off the ground before slamming back down. But that's not all. An unknown substance suddenly spills from the bottom right corner. The TV then comes on and remains so. This footage was captured on January 23, 2013. A hooded man is seen walking down the hallway of a hotel when suddenly a black translucent figure appears and grabs his leg, causing him to fall on his back. The man is dragged a few inches before freeing himself and taking to his heels, while the figure vanishes like a puff of smoke. Can someone help explain this? In this old, seemingly abandoned building, we see the figure of a four-legged animal lying on its belly. It's obviously not a live animal, but just a figure. However, this figure suddenly elongated its neck before bending it and falling limp again. The person behind the camera even hit the figure, but it didn't move. So how and why did it move before? This CCTV footage will make you think twice before leaving your kids at home by themselves. The video shows the little kids, seemingly home alone, playing, with one of them standing between the doorframe. Nothing seems out of place.
In this scary video, a couple of kids are playing and having fun until this shocking event happens. Watch this.
That is, until the girl standing between the door frames suddenly starts struggling with something. She is lifted off the floor as if someone is behind her. She tries to run, but that's naturally impossible since her legs are dangling in the air. That's not all of it. The three girls are again seen playing when one of them springs forward to grab something from her sister, lying down in the process. All of a sudden, she starts moving backwards as if something is dragging her by her legs. But the problem is that there's no one in sight besides the three kids. This case of a haunted house is as terrifying as it's funny. The footage shows a man sleeping peacefully in his bed when a ghost makes its entrance. The door creaks open slowly, then the rocking chair starts rocking back and forth. A round object skids across the room and books fall off the shelf. It seems this man had an extremely exhausting day, as he doesn't even stir through all these, not even when other things on the shelf begin to fall, or when the picture above the bed begins to move. The ghost haunting the place seems to get angry, getting a reaction from the man. So, simultaneously, the chair and shelf fall forward, and the sheets pull themselves off his body just as the door slams shut. Imagine being woken up from a peaceful sleep by a ghost who had nothing better to do. That's what happens here. This lady is in dreamland when her door suddenly opens by itself. She doesn't notice and doesn't wake up until the sheets start pulling themselves off her body, jolting her awake instantly. She sits up and turns on the lights, but the lights start misbehaving, changing colors as if it were a party. She gets out of bed and leaves the room to check on something, then returns to bed. But she can't sleep anymore as the lights start misbehaving again. What do you think? This video, taken from a security camera, was uploaded, and in it, we can see a night guard waving to someone. Apparently, he saw someone that the camera couldn't see. He even goes to open the door for the supposed lady that he sees.
Where a man can be seen waving to someone in the dark. He sees someone we can't see. He goes over to open the door for what he would later describe as a lost old lady. While
waiting for the elevator, he chats with the lady, and then the shocking thing happens. He is told via his walkie-talkie that he's the only one on the floor. Coming to this sudden and extremely unpleasant realization, the man takes to his heels, fleeing the building in panic. As to who he was talking to, well, it's safe to say it wasn't human. This next video is really spooky. It shows a man cleaning his pool. Just then, a dark figure appears to his right, and it seems like the figure possesses him as he quickly throws away the mop in his hands.
This is really scary.
He then starts acting strange, the way possessed people lose control of their bodies in movies. His wife comes up to him, but he violently shakes her off and gets on the ground on all fours. What would it be like if a laboratory was haunted? You're about to find out. This young scientist was mixing chemicals in the laboratory when one of the glasses on the table suddenly slid off and fell to the ground, breaking and spilling its contents. The man went out to call his supervisor, but the supervisor didn't think much of it. But he overacted, waving his hands widely in the air. The young scientist then went to get a mop. As he cleaned the floor, another jar slid towards him, attempting to fall. But he pushed it back, despite being confused. A group of explorers went to check out 2 old buildings. One of them attempts to approach the abandoned buildings he means to explore, but he briefly hesitates. As it turns out, one of the buildings had been the site of a murder. They both head towards one of the buildings. They approach the building and enter through the window, capturing the sight of demonic paintings on the wall. The first house had no surprises.
Big time. It smells really bad in here too.
It does. Oh yeah, more 666. This is like some demon stuff around here.
Then they moved to the second building, which was believed to be the site of a murder. Upon entering, they discovered something like bloodstains on the floor. And there are more of those ominous paintings. Then one of them approaches the stairs.
Over to the second house. This is one where apparently happened, or I'm not too sure.
He begins to go up to the stars while filming. Upon reaching the top and turning, he suddenly stops and calls out to his partner. Much to their surprise, they see several flickering lights, and upon going in, they discover a small circle of lit candles on the floor of the room. No one knows who drew that circle or who placed the candles there in such an ominous way. Some urban explorers decided to check out the Overbrook Asylum at the Essex County Hospital in New Jersey. While exploring one of the rooms, they heard a screeching sound.
In a YouTube video by John Edmonds, a group of urban explorers decides to investigate the abandoned Overbrook Asylum at the Essex County Hospital in Cedar Grove, New Jersey, USA.
Turning their camera towards where they thought the sound came from, they saw a 4-legged creature running towards them. They did what anyone in their right mind would do: run away.
They quickly turn the camera and capture a terrifying 4-legged creature running towards them.
In a building that looked more like a school or maybe an office, a CCTV camera captured a creepier than creepy sight. In the video, you can see some lockers and what looks like a sign used by janitors standing in front of 2 doors. The place is silent, as everything seems still. Then a sudden banging sound rang out. If anyone had been there, they probably would have been scared. But that's not all. One of the lockers eerily began to shake as if someone were rocking it back and forth. Another locker suddenly opened, and books and papers flew out on their own. Silence regained, and except for the papers on the floor, there was no sign that anything happened at all. But just when it seemed to be over, the lonely sign standing in front of the doors suddenly flew backwards and fell as if someone kicked it. If this isn't the activity of ghosts, then what on earth are they? Adam Mark decided to explore an abandoned building, said to be a murder house, where a certain girl named Sally was killed and buried. As he ventured in, he was confident that there was nothing paranormal. Then he heads upstairs and carries on his exploration, checking the rooms and the kitchen, which turns out to have a pungent smell.
One of the most haunted explorers on the actual circuit. I didn't think it was going to be this big. It's just going dark.
He continues his tour without a hitch and starts climbing one of the staircases. However, halfway up the stairs, he hears a bang coming from one of the rooms he just left. Going back to check, he finds no one. However, there is a blue ball on the floor, which was previously not there.
I'm gonna have to go up. Right, so we're just heading up to the first floor now.
He perseveres and finally checks the last room. But just as he decides to leave and hurries down the stairs, he sees a rope swinging and hears someone play a key on the piano. Adam runs to check, but still finds no one. He promptly left the place.
But this is the last room. Oh, my head's gone.
It is not particularly clear why there should be a camera in the bedroom, but in any case, this one captured something worth watching. In the video, a couple were sleeping on the bed, and it was all peaceful at first.
Baby, wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
But then, 3 banging sounds echoed in the dead of night. The lady immediately woke up and looked around. As the banging continued, she desperately tried without success to wake up her partner, but the man seemed to have left Earth's atmosphere, as he didn't even stir, despite the lady's voice piercing through the blanket of silence enveloping the night.
Baby, wake up! Wake up! Oh my God, baby. Wake up! Wake up! What the?
This man thought his house was haunted, so he went to check out a strange sound that he heard coming from his basement. Descending the stairs, the basement was in sight, but he stopped a few steps away. His camera was pointed at the dark basement. No figure was seen, but footsteps were heard rushing towards him, causing the man to turn around and flee for dear life.
Hello? Oh my God!
This next clip came from a house in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The house is said to be haunted by a jinn, but this daring man decided to go take a look for himself. However, from the start to the end, it was all trouble for him. First, he heard sounds from different parts, and when she couldn't find anything, he immediately started praying in Arabic.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu... هذا مكان مسلمين! أنتم مش جايبكم هنا!
Then the doors started slamming themselves repeatedly. Saying his prayer out loud, he moved to check behind the doors but found nothing. Then the door behind him slammed, causing him to turn in panic.
Oh, Bismillah! Bismillah! أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم!
Whenever a door slammed, he would follow the sound, but he always found nothing. To make matters worse, things kept crashing in the house non-stop. Then a breaking sound came from above. Looking up, he saw that the chandelier had been smashed by something.
وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. بسم الله.
This man saved himself by thinking really fast. He ran into a room and saw a mannequin on the table. He immediately took it up, removed the hood from its head, and wore it on his own head. Then he took the position of the mannequin, lying flat on the table. Just then, a burly-looking man walked in, holding a chainsaw. He was obviously in pursuit of the first man, but he paid no attention to the table and entered the room beyond. The man immediately got off the table and fled for his life. This spooky footage emerged from a hospital in the UK. A person climbed up the stairs and captured the video as the door to a particular room kept opening and closing. The door would close at times and it would seem to be over, only for it to creak open again and close, then continue the process. A real estate agent was making a video for a house tour when something she least expected happened. While she was talking, she suddenly forgot her lines, so she went to check and restart the video.
This vintage 1963 bungalow
As she spoke, the door suddenly opened on its own. She stood to the side and stared at the door for several seconds before picking up her camera and walking towards the door, daring it to move again.
Go ahead, do it again. You're on camera.
She walked through the house, daring doors to open and glasses to break. But little did she know that whatever was there heard her. A screeching noise suddenly rang out, and she hurried back to the room she came from, only to see a circular object fall from the ceiling. Forgetting her paper, she promptly ran out of the house.
Go ahead, open this door. Open this door like you did the other one.
This man and his girlfriend went to visit a haunted house. Well, let's say they were haunted. A weirdly dressed man came from under a bed frame and poked the lady by her side. She screamed in terror, and her boyfriend tried to grab her, but unknowingly grabbed the weirdly dressed man, dashing away from the scene in fright and leaving his girlfriend behind. A man on his night shift in a hospital caught some bizarre things on camera. The first weird thing he filmed was a wheelchair, which sat still for a while before suddenly turning and heading towards him, causing the man to flee the area.
The wheelchair starts to move by itself, seemingly propelled towards him. The video cuts off abruptly as he flees.
Then, in another room, he saw the ceilings behaving very strangely. The ceilings were flapping continuously, as if a great wind were blowing them.
In a different clip, he captures an inexplicable phenomenon, clearly visible on camera.
The last one was a hospital bed, which suddenly moved on its own, as if someone were folding it. The cleaner, who was close to the bed, was extremely confused by this bizarre sight.
The final segment, sourced from a security camera, shows a worker tidying up a hallway. In a mysterious turn of events, a stretcher in the background eerily shifts its position, as though someone unseen is reclining on it.
This is the second video from this school, showing that the school is really haunted. In the video, a backpack suddenly flew off a row of lockers as if thrown by some invisible hands. Then a poster came off the wall. But it didn't just come off, it flew directly to the opposite side. After that, one of the 3 chairs started moving as if being pulled by an invisible string to the opposite wall.
This is the second video from the school in less than a month of the alleged haunting. So the school grounds have long been rumored to be haunted because in the 19th century, criminals were hung over there.
This video, captured by CCTV, shows a security guard in a hospital in Argentina having a conversation with an invisible patient. The video was uploaded, leaving people in confusion. Reports are that the man was conversing with an older woman who had died a day before. In this viral video, the man was seen chatting with her and even offering her a wheelchair. The question is, what on earth happened? How was it that the man could communicate with a dead person as though she were alive?
Ngayon ang isang pangyayari na nakunan pa ng CCTV footage sa loob ng hospital sa Finocchieto Sanatorium.
Some CCTV footage will absolutely freak you out if you see them, and this is one of them. This man's CCTV camera caught something weird in his sitting room. As to why there's a surveillance camera in his sitting room, it'd probably be for reasons like this. He is fast asleep on the couch, and his black cat is restless, pacing about, indicating that something is off. Then, a flash of light shines and keeps moving, as if someone is playing with a flashlight. The light in the room starts flickering, and the poor cat keeps meowing, probably to wake up the being who seems to be having a great time in dreamland. The man must have been genuinely surprised or frightened when he saw the footage. A group of nurses decided to explore an ER that was said to be haunted by people who had died in it. The group was all smiles as they prepared to go in their brief adventure.
Late one evening, a few nurses decide to take a break and enter a floor of the hospital that is rumored to be haunted.
They proceeded into the place and entered the room. But it didn't take long for the guy holding the phone to hear a sound, causing him to run back out. When he turned his camera to face the room, he saw that some items had been swept off the table by an unseen force.
How did you not see that? Oh, okay!
This clip, which went viral on the internet, was said to have been filmed at a haunted house somewhere in Japan, where a daring urban explorer decides to explore but gets more than he thought he would as he faces an unexpected guest. The footage shows some not-so-clear shots of the video shows an eerie hand gripping the corner of the house, as it appears in ghost movies, only this one is moving like something out of the Resident Evil movie. Only the hand is visible. The rest of the mysterious entity is hidden on the other side of the building.
An eerie hand can be seen gripping the corner of the house.
No one knows what it is. Before the explorer can investigate further, it disappears just as quickly as it arrived. As the explorer examines every corner of the messy interior of the building, the camera pans across an open doorway. However, the explorer doesn't seem to notice the ghostly face peering back at them. Only the profile of the mysterious figure is visible, with most of its features obscured by long, dark hair hanging over its face. The entity ducks back into the doorway when the light of the camera finds it.
However, the explorer doesn't seem to notice the ghostly face peering back at them.
A YouTuber who has long explored abandoned places found himself running for dear life when he went into this haunted house in Bobcaygeon. This is the first video in which the explorer fled the scene due to a scary incident. As he was in the house, one of the doors creaked open on its own and closed again. The door continued to open and close, and he had to flee. He said in the description that he heard what sounded like a voice, but it was faint and required headphones and raised speakers to hear. According to him, there was the sound of someone walking and something heavy being dragged across the floor. He felt followed as he exited. He emphasizes that the audio doesn't fully capture the experience. Aside from houses, roads have been found to be haunted as well. A truck driver had repeatedly heard his co-workers talking about seeing a ghostly figure standing in the road in Louisiana, but he never quite bought into the story. However, while driving one night through the supposedly haunted route, he comes across an extremely eerie sight. The driver sees what looks like a pale girl hunched over on the ground, and as he passes, she looks at him and raises a hand. The driver naturally didn't stop to know who or what that was. He simply sped past. This video came up on October 17, 2012, and is a clear case of a haunted house. The man behind the camera has probably encountered strange things in his house more than once. He heard loud sounds, and he stood in front of a door behind which extremely loud noises were coming. After a few seconds of hesitation, he cautiously opened the door, but he didn't find anything behind it.
There it is again. Okay.
The noise then moved to the bathroom, and the man followed but still found nothing there. It seemed as if the noise had moved downstairs. There didn't seem to be anyone else but him in the house, yet the noise proves otherwise. What made those noises? No one knows.
Mike? Charlie?
This woman in her kitchen probably never thought her house was haunted. But one experience was enough to change that perspective. She was putting things together in her kitchen and was rounding up, probably getting ready for dinner. Suddenly, the short ladder behind her slid halfway down. She went towards it to lift it up, but the ladder slipped completely, staying flat on the floor, as if someone were toying with it. Clearly scared now, she took some steps back but still raised the ladder, changing its position. Just as she was leaving the kitchen, the waste bin spun on its own and fell. This was the last straw that sent her running out of the kitchen. What would it look like if a ghost threw a tantrum in a haunted house? Let's find out. This clip shows ghost activity in the kitchen. The ghost seems to have been made mad by something and decides to take out its anger on the things in the kitchen as objects fly everywhere. Doors to the cupboards fling open as if someone with anger issues is trying to rip them off. Ceramic plates fly out of the drawers, smashing helplessly against the floor. Everything on the dining table seems to have minds of their own as they move off the table and fall to the floor. This man's house is haunted. There is no question about it. He heard some weird sounds coming from his bathroom, and things escalated as objects began to move on their own. Even the guitar was playing itself.
This man is being haunted by some sort of demon. It all started when he heard something coming from his bathroom, which quickly escalated into things moving by themselves and even the guitar playing itself.
His dog barked seemingly at nothing, and his light flickered on and off. Then he noticed a ghostly figure behind the door, but when he went to check, it had disappeared. The figure appears in human form and knocks before disappearing into thin air.
The entity would appear as a human and knock on his door, only to disappear into thin air once again.
An incident occurred on July 7, 2022, depicting a classic case of a hospital haunted by the dead. The video shows some people who sat in a hospital hallway, and it was captured by surveillance cameras. Sitting there, the people who were possibly waiting for their turn to see the doctor were minding their own business when a certain man in blue clothing ran past them as if running away from something. They paid him no mind and sat still until an empty wheelchair pushed itself towards them. The group of three promptly scattered, taking to their heels.